plaster, that's 15 groats.
Hey, so?
We're stopping the draft in the privy.
Buddy! You calculating piece of clay.
Ah! Damnation!
Don't mention it. I've never seen a world so festering with damnation. Where is the mayor? I've business with his worship.
Where have you come from?
Straight from your alehouse. Damnation's pretty active there this afternoon. Licking her lips over gossip of murder and witchcraft. There's mischief brewing for someone. Where is the mayor?
I'm the mayor's clerk.
How are you?
Can I have your name?
It's yours.
Now look.
It's no earthly use to me. I travel light. As light, that is, as a man can travel who will still carry his body around because of its sentimental value. What were you saying?
Name and business.
Thomas Mendip. My well-born father, if birth can ever be said to be well, maintains a castle as drafty as a tree. At every sunset, it falls reflecting into the river, and fish swim through its walls. They swim into the bosom of my grandmother, who sits late, watching for the constellation of Orion. Because my dead grandfather, she believes, is situated somewhere in the belt. That is part of the glory of my childhood.
I like you as much as I've liked anybody. Perhaps you're a little bit drunk, but here I'm afraid they may not take to you.
That's what I hope.
Who told you to come here? You couldn't have chosen a less fortunate afternoon. They're expecting company. Well, a girl, excuse me, I must get back to the books.
I'll wait.
You'll not see anybody, I'm sure of it.
Dear boy, I only want to be hanged. What possible objection could he have to that?
Want to be hanged? How very drunk you are after all. Whoever would want to be hanged?
You don't make any allowance for individuality. How do you know? Without there in the day or night, according to latitude, the entire world isn't wanting to be hanged. Now you, for instance, still damp from your cocoon. You're desperate to fly into any noose of the sun that should dangle down from the sky. Life forby is the way we fatten for the Michaelmas of our own particular gallows. What a wonderful thing is metaphor.
Was that a knock?
The girl, she knocks. I saw her walking through the garden beside a substantial nun. Revelation!
2 steps down, she said. 1, 2, the floor. Oh, now I begin to be altogether different, I suppose.
God, 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 I can see such trouble. Is life sending a flame to nest in my flax? For pity's sake.
Sweet, pretty news. Nice news.
Will you step in?
They told me no one was here.
It would be me they meant.
Oh, would it be? Coming in from the light, I'm all out at the eyes. Such white doves were paddling in the sunshine, and the trees were as bright as a shower of broken glass. I've an April blindness. Oh, you're hidden in a cloud of crimson Catherine Louise.
It doesn't really matter. Sit in the shadow.
There are plenty to choose from.
Oh, there are 3 of us. Forgive me.
He's waiting. He wants. He says.
I breathe, I spit, I am. But take no further notice. I'll just nod in at the window like a rose. I'm a black and frosted rosebud whom the good God has preserved since last October. Take no notice.
Men to me are a world to themselves.
Do you think so?
I'm going to be married to one of them. Almost at once. I have met him already.
Humphrey.
Are you his brother?
No. All I can claim as my flesh and blood is what I stand up in. I wasn't born, I was come across. In the dusk of one Septuagesima, a priest found an infant about 10 inches long, crammed into the poor box. The money had all been taken. Nothing was there except myself. I was the baby, as it turned out. The priest, thinking I might have eaten the money, held me upside down and shook me, which encouraged me to live, I suppose, and I lived.
Well, I'm quite usual, with 5 elder sisters. My father thought he would never be able to find enough husbands for 6 of us, And so he decided to simplify matters and let me marry God. He gave me to a convent. But he found that husbands fell into my sister's laps, so then he stopped thinking of God as eligible. No prospects, he thought. And so he looked around and found me Humphrey de Vice. Do you think he'll do?
Maybe. He isn't God, of course.
Who are you?
Richard, the mayor's copying clerk.
And see, the mayor's Humphrey's uncle, Humphrey's mother's the mayor's sister, and then again there's Nicholas Humphrey's brother. Is he sensible?
He knows his way about.
Oh, enviable Nick.
He's nodding in.
I tell you a strange thing. Humphrey de Vice came to the convent to see me, bringing a present for his almost immediate wife, he said, which is me, of barley sugar and a cross of seed pearls. Well, next day, Nicholas came with a little cold pie to say he had a message from Humphrey. And then he sat and stared and said nothing until he got up to go. I asked him for the message, but by then it had gone out of his head. Quite gone, you see. It was curious. Now, you're not speaking either.
Oh, yes, of course it was curious.
Men are strange. It's almost unexpected to find they speak English. Do you think so, too?
Things happen to them.
Alice. What do you think? I've won you from him. I've destroyed my brother. It's me you're going to marry. What do you think of that?
You have mud in your mouth.
You canter off.
Why, no, Nicholas, that's untrue. I have to be the wife of Humphrey.
Heaven says no. Heaven and all the nodding angels say, Alison for Nicholas, Nicholas for Alison.
Oh.
You must come to know me. Well, not so much now, because now I'm excited. But I have at least 3 virtues. Oh, I apologize for boasting. But once you know my qualities, I can drop back into a quite brilliant humility. God have mercy upon me. You have such little hands. I knew I should love you, Alison. How soon will it be before you love me? Let's go.
Oh, where are you taking Alice?
Out into the air, Mother.
Unnecessary. She's in the air already. This room is full of it. Put her down, Nicholas.
I have to tell you, Mother. I've just been reborn.
Nicholas, you always think you can do things better than your mother. There's someone here I don't know. Who is it, Alison? Did he come with you?
Oh, no. A rosebud, he says. He budded in October.
He's not speaking the truth. You're a pretty child, and mercifully free of spots, unlike the cowslip. You're eager to see your handsome Humphrey. Nicholas will fetch him. They're inseparable, really twin natures, utterly brothers, like the two ends of the same thought. Nicholas, dear, call Humphrey.
I can't. I've killed him.
Fetch Humphrey, Nicholas, dear.
I've killed him. Dearest Mother.
Well, never mind. Call Humphrey, dear.
Is that the other end of this happy thought? They're prone in the flower bed.
Yes, it's Humphrey, lying in the rain.
One day I shall burst my bud of calm and blossom into hysteria. Tell him to get up. Why on this patient earth is he lying in the rain?
All flesh is grass.
Did you really kill Humphrey?
Nicholas, your smile is no pleasure to me.
We fought for possession of Alison Elliot. What could be more natural? What he loves, I love. Oh, what a fight. What a fight. Humphrey went hurtling like Lucifer into the daffodils. When Babylon fell, there wasn't a better thump.
Nicholas, are you standing there letting your brother be rained on? Haven't you any love for him?
Yes, Mother, but wet as well as dry.
Can Richard carry him single-handed?
Why can't he use both hands? How was I to know it was going to rain?
Oh, bell ringing practice. Dear God, a cuckoo as well.
I guard a cuckoo. Grief and guard a canting cuckoo that laughed with no smile.
I don't know why you're waiting, or who brought you, or if I could even begin to like you, but I know it would be agreeable if you left us. There's enough going on already.
There certainly is enough going on. Madam, watch hell come as a gleam into the eye of the wholesome cat when Philip Sparrow clips his wing. I see a gleam of hell in you, madam. You understand those bells perfectly. I understand them, too. What is it that out there in the mellow street the soft rain is raining on? Is it only on the little sour grass, madam?
Out in the street? What could it be?
It could be, and it is, a witch hunt.
Oh, dear, another.
By the most naked of compassionate angels, hadn't you better answer that bell? With a mere clouding of your unoccupied eyes, madam, or a twitch of the neck, what better use can we put our faces to than to have them express kindness while we're thinking of something else? Oh, be disturbed, madam. Be disturbed to the extent of a tut, and I will thank God for civilization.
At the moment, as you know, I'm trying very hard to be patient with my sons. You really mustn't expect me to be Christian in two directions at once.
What, after all, is a halo? It's just one more thing to keep clean.
Here's Humphrey, Mother. Where would you like him?
Humphrey, why do you have to be carried?
My dear mother, I didn't knock myself down. Why should I pick myself up? Daffodils for my future wife.
You swindling, half-cock alderman. Do I have to kill you a second time? I've proved my right to have her.
Nothing of the kind. Officially, Allison is mine. What is official is incontestable.
Well, who's going to marry you, Allison?
He deserves no answer.
Can you tell us, Alice?
Well, I'm not very used to things happening rapidly. The nuns, you see, were very quiet, especially in the afternoon. And they say I shall marry Humphrey.
Certainly so. Nicholas, go and get clean.
Let Humphrey go and officially bury himself. She's not for him.
Will someone fetch the mayor? Will no one make the least effort to let me out of this world?
Here comes your answer. Do, for the sake of calm, go and sweeten yourself.
Is this the man I long for?
Bess, who's stolen my handkerchief?
Use this one, Heaven, dear.
Noses, noses.
Mr. Mayor, it's a joy to see you. You're about to become my gateway to eternal rest.
Dear sir, I haven't yet been notified of your existence. As far as I'm concerned, you don't exist, and therefore you're not entitled to any rest at all, eternal or temporary, and I'd be obliged if you'd sit down.
Here's Allison Elliot, Nicholas's bride-to-be.
I've come to be hanged. Do you hear?
Out of the question. That's a most immodest suggestion, which I know of no precedent for, cannot be entertained. I suspect an element of mockery directed at the ordinary decencies of life. Oh, tiresome catarrh. A sense of humor incompatible with good citizenship, and I wish you a good evening. Are we all assembled together for evening prayers?
Oh, no. You can't postpone me.
Go away. You're an unappetizing young man with a tongue too big for your brain. Very mad. Wishes to draw attention to himself. The brain, a delicate mechanism. Almighty God, more precise than a clockmaker, grant us all a steady pendulum. All say amen.
Amen.
Does justice, with her sweet impartial sword, never come to this place? Do you mean there's no recognition given to murder here?
Now what is it?
I'm not a fool. I didn't suppose you'd do me a favor for nothing. No crime, no hanging. I quite understand the rules, but I've made that all right. I managed to do in a rag and bone merchant at the bottom of Leapfrog Lane. It was such a monotonous cry, that rag a bore like the damn cuckoo. It was more than time you should see something of another world. But poor old man, he wasn't anxious to go. He picked on his rags and his bones as love picks upon hearts. He with an eye to profit, and love with an eye to pain.
Sanctus fumus.
Get a complete denial of everything he said. What a confounded thing. Who do people think they are? Coming here without identity and putting us to considerable trouble and expense to have them punished. You don't deserve to be listened to.
It's habit. I've been unidentifiably floundering in Flanders for the past 7 years. Prizing open ribs to let men go on the indefinite leave which needs no pass. And now all roads are uncommonly flat. And all hair stands on end.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, but there's a witch to see you, Uncle.
To see me? A witch to see me? I will not be the toy of irresponsible events. Is that clear to you all?
Yes, but she's here.
A witch to see me? Do I have to tell you what to do with her?
No, don't tell me. My eyes do that only too well. She's the one. Of witches, she's the one who most of all disturbs Hell's heart. Shall I ask her in?
I stare at you, Nicholas, with no word of condemnation. I stare astonished at your behavior.
Ask her in here, Nicholas.
the glorious undercoat of this painted world. You see? It comes through. No matter how much of your whiteness we paint over it.
She's young. Oh, God, she's young.
What is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this?
That is the most relevant question in the world.
Will someone say, come in, and understand that I don't every day break in on the quiet circle of a family at prayers? Will you forgive me?
You'll find I can't be disarmed with pretty talk, young woman. You have no business at all in this house.
Do you know how many walls there are between the garden of the magpie to the gate of your paddock?
I'm not to be seduced. I'm not attending.
8. I've come over them all.
What could she have done?
Her broomsticks in the hall.
Nicholas, come over to this side of the room.
Oh, don't worry, Mother. I've my fingers crossed.
Never before in the whole term of my office have I met such extraordinary ignorance of what is permitted.
Indeed, I was ignorant. They were hooting and howling after me as though echoes could kill me. They say, I've turned a man into a dog.
This will all be gone into at the proper time.
What do we do? I can almost feel the rustling in of some kind of enchantment already.
She will have to be put in charge.
Oh, must she? Must she?
He can see she's a girl of property. And the property goes to the town. If she's a witch, she couldn't have been more timely.
Curious. Crooked. Beauty of the earth. It's fascinating.
Get up at once, you undisciplined girl. Have you never heard of law and order?
Oh, won't you use this chair?
Nicholas.
Thank you. Oh, this is the reasonable world again. I promise not to leave behind me any fly marks of black magic, or any familiars such as mice or beetles which might preach demonology in your skirting board. The tales, unbelievable, the wild tales they tell.
This will be discussed at the proper time.
When we have finished talking about my murders...
Peaceful and placid heaven. Are they both asking to be punished? Has death become the fashionable way to live? Nothing would surprise me in their generation.
Asking to be punished? Why, no, I've come here to have the protection of your laughter. And they accuse me of such a brainstorm of absurdities that all my fear dissolves in the humor of it. If I could perform what they say I can perform, I should have got safely away from here as fast as you bat your eyelid.
Oh, indeed. Could you indeed?
They tell one tale that once, when the moon was gibbous, and in a high dazed state of nimbus love, I shook a jonquil's dew onto a pearl, and let a cricket chirp 3 times, thinking of pale Peter. And there Titania was, vexed by a cloud of pollen, using the sting of a bee to clean her nails, and singing as drearily as a gnat, why try to keep clean?
The earth is all of earth, so sang the queen, so the queen sung, crumbling her crownet into clods of dung.
You heard her too, Captain. Bravo. Is that a world you've got there hidden under your hat?
Bedlam, ma'am. And the battlefield Uncle Adam died on. He was shot to bits with the core of an apple, which some fool of a servant in the artillery had shoved into God's cannon.
That's enough! Terrible frivolity! Terrible blasphemy! Awful unorthodoxy! Oh, I can't understand anything that's being said. Fetch the constable. The woman's tongue clearly knows the flavor of spiritu maligno. The man must be drummed out of the town.
Oh, must he be?
Are you certain, sir? The constable? The lady was laughing. She laughed at the very idea of being a witch, sir.
Yes, just it, just it. Giving us a rigmarole of her dreams. Probably dreams, but intentionally recollected, intentionally consented to, intentionally delighted in, and so as dangerous as the act. Fetch the constable.
Sad how things always are.
We get one gulp of dubious air from utmost origins. We have to bung up the draft with a constable. It's a terribly decontaminating life.
I'll not have any frivolity. The town goes in terror. I have told you, Richard, twice what to do. Are you going about it?
No, sir, not yet.
Oh, did you speak to me? Now be careful how you answer.
Can you be serious? I'm Janet Jourdemain, and I believe in the human mind. Why play with me and make me afraid of you? As you did for a moment, I confess it. You can't believe what in their innocence those old credulous children in the street imagine of me.
Innocence. Dear girl, before the world was, innocence was beaten by a lion all round the town and liked it.
This will all be gone into at the proper time. Disturbing the peace in every way. Have to arrest you.
No.
You bubble-mouthing, fog-blathering, chin-chuntering, chat-lapping, liturgical, turgidical-faced old man. What about my murders?
And what goes round in your head? What funny little murders and fornications. Chatting up and down and 3-4 times, afraid to come out. What bliss to sin by proxy and do penance by way of someone else. But we'll not talk of you. It will make the outlook so dark. Neither about this exquisitely mad young woman, nor about this congenital generator, your nephew here, nor about anyone but me. I'm due to be hanged. Good Lord, isn't murder enough to win me the medals of damnation? Must I put half a dozen children on a spit and toast them at the flame that comes out of my mouth? You let the fairies fox you while the devil does you. Concentrate on me. I'll not have it. Power of Jove, must I wait for a stammer? Here am I, the true phenomenon of acknowledged guilt, steaming with the blood of the rag and bone man, crime transparent. What the hell are we waiting for?
Will you attend to me? Will you be silent?
Are you doing this to save me?
You flatter my powers, my sweet. You're too much a woman. But if you wish, you can go down to the dinner of damnation on my arm.
I dine elsewhere.
Am I invisible? Am I inaudible? Do I merely festoon the room with my presence? Oh, I don't care for these unexpurgated persons. I shall lose my patience.
I shall lose my faith in the good breeding of Providence. Would this happen now, today, within an hour or two of everyone's coming to congratulate Humphrey and Allison?
Uncle, there's a sizable rumpus, without exaggeration, a how-do-you-do taking place in the street. I thought you should know.
Rumpus?
Perhaps rumpus isn't the proper word. A minor kind of bloody revolution. It's this damned rascal. This half-pay, half-wit. It seems he's been spreading all around the town some tale about murdering old Skips, the rag and bone man.
Old Skips. Old Skips. The surplus of bones he'll have where he's gone to now.
Old Skips, but he's the man.
Will you both be silent? I won't have every Tom, Dick, and Harry laying information against himself before he's got written authority from me.
They say he's the devil.
I can imagine who started that story.
But are we so sure he isn't? Outside, in the street, they're convinced he's the devil. And none of us having seen the devil, how do we know? They also have the idea he's got a girl in his toils, a witch, called Janet.
I'm she.
God.
Well, Humphrey, well, is that the end of your information?
Humphrey, have you spoken to your little future wife lately?
Tinder. Easy Tinder.
In fact,
In fact, it's all a bloody revolution.
Oh, I am being played with, I'm sure of it. Something tells me there is irresponsibility somewhere.
I am late for prayers, I know. I know you think me a broken reed, and my instrument, too, my better half you lacked it, I'm afraid. But life has such diversity, I sometimes remarkably lose eternity in the passing moment. Just now, in the street, there's a certain boisterous interest in a spiritual matter. They say...
I know what they say.
Ah, yes, you know. Sin, as well as God, moves in a most mysterious way. It is hard to imagine why the poor girl should turn Skips into a dog.
Skips? Skips into a dog?
But Skips trundles in another place, calling his rag a boy and gutters without end, transfigured by the spatial light of garbage, indestructible, and I ought to know, since I sent him there. A dog? Come, don't let's be fanciful.
They say one thing and another thing and both at once. Oh, I don't know. It will all have to be gone into at the proper time.
but this is a contradiction.
Ah, isn't that life all over? And is this the young assassin? If he is the doer of the damage, can it be she also? My flock are employing fisticuffs over the very question.
But if he could be the devil...
Good boy. Shall I put your mind at rest and give you proof? Come here. Day of judgment.
That's not funny.
Not funny for the goats.
I've heard it before. He says the day of judgment is fixed for tonight.
Oh, no. I've always been sure that when it comes, it will come in the autumn. Heaven, I'm quite sure, wouldn't disappoint the bulbs.
Consider vastiness lusted, Mother. A huge, heaving desire, overwhelming solitude. And the mountain belly of time labored and brought forth man. The mouse. Well, the spheres churned on, hoping to charm our ears with sufficient organ music. Sadly sent out on the wrong wave of sound, but still they roll, fabulous and fine, a roundabout of doomed and golden notes. And on beyond, profound with thunder of oceanic power,
lie the morose dynamics of our dumb friend, Jehovah. Why should these omnipotent bombinations go on with a deadly human anecdote, which from the first was never more than remotely funny? No, the time has come for tombs to tip their refuse, for the involving ivy, the briar, the convolutions of convolvulus, to disentangle and make way for the last great ascendancy of dust, sucked into judgment by a cosmic yawn of boredom. The last trump is timed for 22:40 hours, precisely.
This will all be gone into at the proper
Time will soon be most improper. Why not hang me before it's too late?
May I, Janet Jourdemain, the daughter of a man who believed that the universe was governed by certain laws, be allowed to speak? Here is such a storm of superstition. Where will you start to look for the truth? Am I, in fact, an enchantress, bemused into collaboration with the enemy of man? Is this the enemy? This eccentric young gentleman never seen by me before? I say I am not. He says perhaps he is. You say I am. You say he is not. And now the eccentric young gentleman threatens us all with imminent cataclysm. Now, if, as a living creature, I wish in all good faith to continue living, where do you suggest I lodge my application?
That is perfectly clear. You're both under arrest.
Listen to me.
Let the world go, lady. It's not worth a candle.
Take a Humphrey down to the cellars.
You see, he has the key to every perplexity. Kiss your illusions for me before they go.
Take him away.
Mr. Mayor, hang me for pity's sake. For God's sake, hang me! Before I love that woman.
The Lady's Not for Burning, starring Richard Chamberlain, will continue.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ford Tempo has the unusual ability to transform your daily drive into an intriguing...
You know, Tyson, it's possible. It's possible I may have been putting the devil to the torture. But can you smell scorching? Not a singe for my sins. For all practical purposes, I feel as unblasted as on the day I was born.
But his action may be delayed. We really must feel our way. We don't want to put ourselves wrong with anything as positive as evil.
We have put him to the merest thumbscrew, Tyson, courteously and impartially. The purest cajolery to coax him to deny these cock and bull murders, for which there isn't a scrap of evidence. But as for the woman, Jourdemain...
Oh, yes, Jourdemain. What are we to make of her? Wealthy, they tell me. But on the other hand, quite affectingly handsome.
Now, no poetics, Tyson. Blow your nose. And avoid lechery. Keep your eye on the evidence against her. There's plenty of it there. Religion has made an honest woman of the supernatural, and we won't have it kicking over the traces again, will we, Chaplain? In the land of Nod. Admirable man.
Humanity, that's all, Tapacum. It's perfectly proper. No one is going to let it interfere with anything serious. I use it with great discretion, I assure you. Has she confessed?
Not at all.
Oh.
Though we administer persuasion with great patience, she admits nothing. And the man won't stop admitting. It really makes one lose all faith in human nature.
Where's the tongs? The tongs, Hebel, the tongs, dear. Sweet and loud, we should all go up in flames.
Flames? Did you hear that, Tapacum? My sisters have flames.
A log the size of a cheese has fallen off my fire. Where are they? What men of action. The tongs, I said. Chaplain, they're under your feet. Very simple you'd look as a pile of ashes.
I beg your pardon, Tapacum. Blazing log.
Well, might there be something I could do? I was asleep, you know. It was very interesting. I was dreaming I stood on Jacob's ladder, waiting for the gates to open, and the ladder was made entirely of diminished sevenths. I was surprised, but not put out. Nothing is altogether what we suppose it to be.
As for the day of judgment, we can be sure it's not you yet. We've a lot of backsliding ahead of us.
Are you uneasy, Tapacum?
No, Tyson. The whole thing's a lot of amphigorious, stultiloquential fiddle-faddle. Oh, for God's sake.
Now what is it? What is it?
The streets gone mad. They've seen a shooting star.
They? Who? What of it?
I'm sure I'm sorry. but the number of people gone mad in the streets is particularly excessive. They were shaking our gate and knocking off each other's hats, and 6 fights simultaneously, and some were singing Psalm 140. I think it's 140. And the rest of them were shouting, "The devil's in there!" pointing at this house. And "Safety from Satan! Where's the woman? Where's the witch? Send her out!" And using words that are only fit for the Bible. And I'm sure I saw blood in the gutter from somebody's head, or else it was the sunset in a puddle, and that old Habakkuk Brown using our wall as it was never meant to be used. And then they saw the star fall over our roof somewhere, and they followed its course with a downrush of whistling and ohs and ahs and screams and groans. And, Ethel, dear, isn't it time they went home?
All right, yes, all right, all right. Oh, why can't people mind their own business? This shooting star has got nothing to do with us. I'm quite happy in my mind about that. It probably went by perfectly preoccupied with some astral anxiety or other without giving us a second thought. Eh, Tappercorn?
Not quite. An excess of phlegm in a solar system. It was on its way to a heavenly spittoon.
Consider it unwise to tempt Providence with humor, Tappercorn.
And on the one evening when we were expecting company, what company is going to venture to get here through all that heathen hullabaloo in the road outside, except the glorious company of the apostles? And we haven't enough glasses for all that number.
I wish I were a thinking man, very much. Of course, I feel a good deal, but that's no help to you.
Well, I'm not bewildered. I assure you, I'm not bewildered. As a matter of fact, a plan is almost certainly forming itself in my head at this very moment. It may even be adequate.
Where did I leave my better half? I laid it aside. I could take it down to the gate and perhaps disperse them with a skirmish or two of the bow. Orpheus, you know, was very successful in that way. But of course I haven't his talent, not nearly his talent.
If you would allow me to follow my train of thought.
I know I am not a practical person. Legal matters and so forth are Greek to me, except, of course, that I understand Greek. And what may seem nonsensical to men of affairs like yourselves might not seem so to me, since everything astonishes me, myself most of all. When I think of myself, I can scarcely believe my senses. But there it is. All my friends tell me I actually exist, and by an act of faith I have come to believe them. But this fellow who is being such a trouble to us, he, on the contrary, is so convinced he is, he wishes he was not. Now, why should that be?
I believe you mean to tell us, Chaplain.
I may as well sit down for all the good that's standing up does.
I imagine he finds the world not entirely salubrious. If he cannot be stayed with flagons or comforted with apples, I quote, of course, perhaps the addition of your thumbscrew will not succeed either. The point I'm attempting to make is this one. He might be wooed from his aptitude for death by being happier. And what I was going to suggest, quite irresponsibly, is that he might be invited to partake of our festivities this evening. No, I see it astonishes you.
You mean
I've heard very little of what you said, Chaplain, being concerned as I am with a certain thought. But am I to believe you recommend our inviting this undesirable character to rub shoulders with my sister?
Rubbing shoulders? I hadn't exactly anticipated that. It was really in relation to the soul that the possibility crossed my mind.
So you suggest, Chaplain, that we let him bibulate from glass to glass this evening, help him to a denial of his guilt, and get him off our hands before daybreak gets the town on its feet again.
I wish I could like the look of the immediate future, but I don't.
I'm happy to tell you an idea has formed in my mind. A possible solution.
Sir, if you please.
Well, Richard.
I should like to admit that I've drunk some of the wine put out for the guests.
Well, that's a pretty thing, I must say.
I was feeling low, abominably, about the prisoners and the row in the street that's getting out of hand and certain inner things. And I saw the wine and I thought, well, here goes. Then I drank 3 glasses full.
I trust you feel the better for it.
I feel much worse. Those 2, sir, the prisoners. What are you doing with them? I don't know why I keep calling you sir. I'm not feeling at all respectful. If only inflicted pain could be as contagious as a plague, you might use it more sparingly.
Who is this culpable boy?
Richard, be sensible. He's a dear boy, but a green boy, and I'm sure he'll apologize in a minute or two.
The boy is a silly boy. He's a silly boy, and I'm going to punish him.
Where are Humphrey and Nicholas?
Now, Margaret...
Where the prisoners are, down in the cellars.
Not talking to that witch.
There isn't a witch. They were sitting about on barrels. It seemed that neither would speak while the other was there, and neither would go away. Half an hour ago. They may be there still.
I must remind you, Margaret, that I was speaking to this very stupid boy. He's going to scrub the floor. Yes, scrub it. Scrub this floor this evening before our guests put in an appearance. Mulish tasks for a mulish fellow. I haven't forgotten his refusal to fetch the constable.
Has Alison Elliot been left sitting alone?
Alison Elliot is not for you to be concerned with, Richard.
Am I supposed to be merely exercising my tongue, or am I being listened to? Did you hear me?
Yes, scrub the floors. No, she is not. I know that.
Furthermore, you relegate yourself to the kitchen tonight, fetching and carrying. Wish to be a mule, you shall be a mule. And take this note to whatever splendid fellow's on duty. You will return with the prisoners to this room and tell them to remain here till I send for them. Tactics, Tappercoom, the idea that came to me. You think it very good. You may go, Richard.
I am nothing but the justice here, of course, but perhaps, even allowing for that, you could tell me what the devil you're up to.
Look, Chaplain, it's blood. Fee, fi, fo, fum. Can you smell it?
No, what have you been up to?
Isn't it beautiful? A splash from the cherry red river that drives my mill.
Well, yes, it has a cheerful appearance, but isn't it painful?
I'm sure it's painful.
Mother, I make it known publicly. I'm tired of my little brother. Will you please give him to some charity?
Give me to faith and hope and the revolution of our native town. I've been hit on the head by 2/3 of a brick.
The young fool climbed on the wall and addressed the crowd.
They were getting discouraged. I told them how happy it made me to see them interested in world affairs and how the conquest of evil was being openly discussed in this house at that very moment. But then, unfortunately, I was hit on the head by a brick.
What in the world have world affairs to do with anything? But we won't argue.
I believe that brick to have been divinely delivered and richly deserved. And am I to understand you boys have also attempted conversation with the prisoners?
Oh, surely, Uncle, as one of the town council, I should be allowed to get a grasp of whatever concerns the welfare of the population. And Nicholas, I agree, had no business on earth being down there.
I was on business of the soul, my sweetheart. Business of the soul.
You may use that word once too often, Nicholas. Heaven or someone will take you seriously, and then you would look foolish. Come and have your forehead seen to.
But my big brother was on business of the flesh. By all the fires of Venus, weren't you, Humphrey?
What the hell do you mean by that, you little Death Watch beetle?
Nicholas, will you come?
Certainly, Mother.
How remarkably insufferable young fellows can sometimes be. I mean, one would expect them to model themselves on riper minds, such as our own, Tappercoom, but really, we might as well not have existed, you know.
Am I to hear your plan, Tyson, or am I just to look quietly forward to old age?
My plan, yes. Conclusive and humane. The two are brought together into this room. How does that strike you?
Well, it makes a complete sentence. Subject they, predicate are brought together.
Ah, you will say with what object, I'll tell you. We, that is ourselves, the chaplain and my elder nephew, will remain unobserved in the adjoining room with the communicating door ajar. How does that strike you?
With a dull thud, Tyson, if I may say so.
See, the idea has eluded you. A hypothetical devil, Tappercoom, brought into conversation with a witch. A dialogue of hell, perhaps, and conclusive. Or one or other, by their exchange of words, will prove to be innocent, or we shall have proof positive of guilt. Does that seem good?
Good is as good result.
I should never have thought you would have done anything so undignified as stoop to keyholes, Uncle.
No. The door will be ajar, my boy.
Ah, yes. That will make us upright. I hear them coming.
Come along.
The ears of them that hear shall hearken, the prophet Isaiah.
Come along, chaplain.
Drink, Tyson. I wish to slake the dryness of my disbelief.
mustn't leave my mistress. Where are you, Angel? Just where Chucklehead left her.
He wants you to wait here till he sends for you. If in some way, I wish... I must fetch the scrubbers.
I'm not really here. I came for my angel. A foolish way to speak of it, this instrument. May I say, a happy issue out of all your afflictions? Well, I'm away now.
God bless you in case you sneeze.
Yes, thank you. I may. And God bless you.
You think he knows what's been happening to us?
Old Angel Scraper, he knows all right. But he's subdued to the cloth he works in.
Tired I am.
You'd think by the holy scent of it our friend had been baptizing the garden. But it's only the heathen rainfall.
What can you see out there?
Out here. Out here is the sky, so gentle. 5 stars are pictured on it. I can see the sky's pale belly glowing and growing big, soon to deliver the moon. And I can see a glittering smear, the snail trail of the sun where it crawled with its golden shell into the hills. A darkling land sunken into prayer, lucidly, in dewdrops of one syllable. Nunc dimittis. I see twilight, madam.
What can you hear?
The howl of human jackals.
Do you mind? I have to scrub the floors.
A good old custom. Always fornicate between clean sheets and spit on a well-scrubbed floor.
Twilight. Double, treble, in and out. The morning came and left the sunlight on my step like any normal tradesman. But now every spark of likelihood is gone. The night draws off as easily as though no one could die tomorrow.
Are you going to be so serious about such a mean allowance of breath as life is? We'll suppose ourselves to be caddisflies who live one day. Do we waste the evening commiserating with each other about the unhygienic condition of our worm cases? For God's sake, shall we laugh?
For what reason?
For the reason of laughter. Since laughter is surely the surest touch of genius in creation. Would you ever have thought of it, I ask you, if you had been making man, stuffing him full of such hopping greeds and passions that he has to blow himself to pieces as often as he conveniently can manage it? Would it also have occurred to you to make him burst himself with such a phenomenon as cachinnation? That same laughter, madam, is an irrelevancy which almost amounts to revelation.
Was it for laughter's sake you told them you were the devil? Or why did you?
Honesty, madam. Common honesty.
Honesty common with the devil?
Gloriously common. It's evil for once not traveling incognito. It is what it is. The great unspurious.
Oh, thank you for that. You speak of the world I thought I was waking to this morning. But horror is walking round me here because nothing is as it appears to be. And that's the deep water my childhood had to swim in. My father was drowned in it.
He was drowned in what? In hypocrisy.
In the pursuit of alchemy. In refusing to accept your dictum, it is what it is. Poor father. In the end, he walked in science like the densest night. Yet he was greatly gifted. When he was born, he gave an algebraic cry, at one glance measured the cubic content of that ivory cone, his mother's breast, and multiplied his appetite by 5. My poor father. What years and powers he wasted. He thought he could change the matter of the world from the poles to the simultaneous equator by strange experiment and by describing numerical parabolas.
To change the matter of the world. Magnificent intention. And so he died denuded.
As a matter of fact, it wasn't a delusion. As a matter of fact, after his death, when I was dusting his laboratory, I knocked over a crucible, which knocked over another, which rocked a third, and they poured and spattered over some copper coins, which 2 days later, by impregnation, had turned into solid gold.
Tell that to some sailor on a horse. If you had such a secret, you would be eulogized, lionized, probably canonized for your divine mishap.
But I never had such a secret. Oh, it's a secret still. And what it was I spilt, out of what extent or in what proportion, and whether the atmosphere was hot, cold, moist, or dry, I've never known. And someone else can discolor their fingers, tease their brains, and spoil their eyesight to discover it. My father broke on the wheel of a dream. He was lost in a search. And so for me, the actual, what I touch, what I see, what I know, the essential fact.
In other words, the bare untruth.
If I may say it without appearing rude, absolutely no devils.
How in the miserable world, in that case, do you come to be here? Pursued by the local consignment of fear and guilt. What possible cause?
Those thumbs, I'm sure they're giving you pain.
Oh, listen, by both my cloven hooves. If you put us to the rack of an exchange of sympathy, I'll fell you to the ground. Answer my question.
Why do they call me a witch? Remember, my father was an alchemist. I still amuse myself with simple experiments in my father's laboratory. Also, I speak French to my poodle. Then you must know that I have a peacock, which on Sundays dines with me indoors. Not long ago, a new little serving maid carrying the food heard its cry, dropped everything and ran, never to come back, and told all whom she met that the devil was dining with me.
It really is beyond the limit of respectable superstition to confuse my voice with a peacock. And as for you, you with no eyes, no ears, no senses, you the most superstitious of all. What greater superstition is there than the mumbo-jumbo of believing in reality? You should be swallowed whole by time in the way you swallow appearances. Oh, what a waste of effort it has been to give you creation's vast and exquisite dilemma. You've given you a world as contradictory as the female, as cabalistic as the male. A conscienceless hermaphrodite who plays heaven up against hell, hell up against heaven, revolving in the ballroom of the skies, glittering with conflict as with diamonds. We have wasted paradox and mystery on you, when all you ask us for is cause and effect. A copy of your birth certificate was all you needed to make you at peace with creation. How uneconomical the whole thing's been.
This is a fine time to scold me. I was already in a poor way of perplexity. And now you leave me no escape except out on the stream of tears.
Oh, none of that. Down on my knees, I may as well stay here. In the name of all who ever were drowned at sea, don't weep. I never learned to swim. May God keep you from being my Hellespont.
What I do with my tears is for me to decide.
Oh, that's all very well. You get rid of them, but on whose defenseless head are they going to fall?
I had no idea you were so afraid of water. I'll put them away.
Oh, Pete. I don't know which is worse, to have you crying or to have you behaving like Catherine of Aix, who never wept until after she had been beheaded. And then the accumulation of the tears of a long lifetime burst from her eyes with such force, they practically winded 3 onlookers and floated the parish priest 200 yards into the entrance hall of a brothel.
Poor Catherine.
Not at all. It made her life in retrospect infinitely more tolerable. And when she got to purgatory, she was laughing so much they had to give her a sedative.
Why should you want to be hanged?
Adam, I owe it to myself. But I can leave it until the last moment if we keep while the light still lasts.
And what can we see in this light? Nothing, I think, except drifting flakes of fear.
Nothing can be seen in the thistledown, but the rough-edged thistle comes. Rest in the riddle. I can pass to you generations of roses in this wrinkled berry. There. Now you hold in your hand a race of summer gardens. It lies under centuries of petals. What is not, you have in your palm. Rest in the riddle. Rest. Why not? This evening is a ridiculous wisp of down, blowing in the air as disconsolately as dust. And you have your own damnable mystery, too. Which at this moment I can well do without.
I know of none. I'm an unhappy fact, fearing death. This is a strange moment to feel my life increasing, when this moment and a little more may be for both of us the end of time. You cast your fishing net of eccentricity, caught me when I was already lost, and landed me with despairing gills on your own strange beach. That's too inhuman of you.
Inhuman? If I dared to know what you meant, it would sound disastrous.
It means I care whether you live or die. You've cut yourself a shape on the air, which may be my scar.
Will you stop frightening me to death? I tell you, the heart is worthless. Don't entertain the mildest interest in me, or you'll have me die screaming.
Well, why should that be? If you're afraid of your shadow falling across another life, shine less brightly on yourself. Step back into the rank and file of men. You're making yourself a breeding ground for love. You must take the consequences. What are you afraid of? Since in a little while, neither of us may exist. Either or both may be altogether transmuted into memory. And then the heart's obscure indeed. Why, Richard, there's a tear rolling out of your eye. What is it?
That... I don't know. I have things on my mind.
Not us.
Not only.
If it's a woman, Richard, apply yourself to the scrubbing brush. It's all a trick of the light.
The light of a fire.
And Richard, make this woman understand that I am a figure of vice and crime.
Guilty of...
Guilty of mankind. I have perpetrated human nature. My mother and father were accessories before the fact, but there'll be no accessories after the fact. By my virility, there won't. Just see me as I am. Me, like a perambulating vegetable, patched with inconsequential hair, looking out of two small jellies for the means of life, balanced on folding bones. My sex no beauty, but a blemish to be hidden behind judicious rags. I defend myself against pain and death, by pain and death, and make the world go round, they tell me, with one of my less lethal appetites. Half this grotesque life I spend in a state of slow decomposition, using the name of unconsidered God as a pedestal on which I stand and pray that I am best of beasts. Until under some patient moon or other I fall to pieces. Like a cake of dung. Is there a slut who'd take this in her arms and put her lips against it?
Sluts are only human. By a quirk of unastonished nature, your obscene, decaying figure of vegetable fun can drag upon a woman's heart as though heaven were dragging up the roots of hell. What is to be done? Something compels us into the terrible fallacy that man is desirable, and there's no escaping into truth. The crimes and cruelties leave us longing, and campaigning love still pitches his tent of light among the suns and moons. You may be decay and a platitude of flesh, But I have no other such memory of life. You may be corrupt as ancient apples. Well, then, corruption is what I most willingly harvest. Your evil, hell, the father of lies. Well, then, hell is my home, and my days of good were a holiday. Hell is my hill, and the world slopes away from it into insignificance. I've come suddenly upon my heart. And where it is, I see no help for.
Certainly. The woman has confessed.
It was a happy idea, Herr Tappercombe. Oh, this will be a great relief to my sister and everybody concerned. A very nice confession, my dear.
Do they think I've confessed to witchcraft?
Admirably. Young Devise had better go and calm the populace. Tell them faggots will be lit tomorrow at noon.
Have the heart, Mr. Tappercombe. They're hurling bricks.
What do they mean? Am I at noon to go to the fire? Oh, for pity!
She has bribed you to procure her death. Graft. Graft. Oh, the corruption of this town. When only the rich can get to kingdom come and a poor man is left to groan in the full possession of his powers, and she's not even guilty. I demand fair play for the criminal classes!
Terrible state of mind, Humphrey. Go at once to the gate.
Oh, well, I can try to dodge.
You didn't try soon enough. No! Who else is going to cheat me out of my death? We, ecclesiastic, let me brain you with your wife.
Oh, no, with something else. Oh, please, hit me with something else.
Exchange it for a harp and hurry off to heaven. Will you give me the gallows now? Now, Mr. Mayor! Richard, I'll drown him in your bucket. The bush is fallen.
Air.
Water, but no fire. Do you hear? No fire. Who is she, Richard? Delicate mistiming of women. She has carefully snapped in half my jawbone of an ass. Life is coming back. Importunate life. Should have something better to do than to hang about at a chronic street corner in dirty weather and worse company.
It is my duty as justice to deliver sentence on you as well.
Ah.
Found guilty of jaundice, misanthropy, suicidal tendencies, and spreading gloom and despondency, you will spend the evening sociably, joyously, taking part in the pleasure of your fellow men.
Not until you've hanged me.
Have I come back to consciousness to hear that still? Richard, help me to stand. You see, preacher to the caddisfly, I return to live my allotted span of insect hours. But if you batter my wings with talk of death, I'll drop to the ground again.
One concession to your courage, and then no more. Gentlemen, I'll accept your most inhuman sentence. I'll not disturb the indolence of your gallows yet, but on one condition. That this lady shall take her share tonight of awful festivity. She shall suffer, too.
Out of the question. Quite out of the question. Absolutely out of the question. What?
Then you shall spend your night in searching for the body of my victim, or else the Lord Chief Justice shall know you let a murderer go free. I'll raise the country.
Do you think I can go in gaiety tonight under the threat of tomorrow? If I could sleep.
That is the heaven to come. We should be like stars now that it's dark. Use ourselves up to the last bright dregs and vanish in the morning. Shall we not suffer as wittily as we can? Now, come, don't purse your lips like a little prude at the humor of annihilation. It is somewhat broad, I admit, but we're not children.
I'm such a girl of habit. I've got into the way of being alive. I will live as well as I can this evening.
And I'll live too, if it kills me.
Well, Uncle, if you're going to let this clumsy-fisted cutthroat loose on the house tonight, why not the witch girl, too?
Foolishly, I can't help saying it. I should like to see them dancing.
We have reached a decision. Circumstances compel us to agree to your most unorthodox request.
Wisdom at last. But listen, woman. After this evening, I have no further interest in the world.
My interest also will not be great, I imagine, after this evening.
The Ladies Not for Burning, starring Richard Chamberlain, will continue.
Oh, tedium, tedium, tedium. The frenzied ceremonial drumming of the humdrum. Where in this small talking world can I find a longitude with no latitude? You must forgive me, that was no joke to be heard. Making to myself in the full face of the moon.
Sure no one keeps you here. There's a road outside if you want it.
What on earth would I do with a road? That furrow on the forehead of imbecility, a road? I'd as soon be up there, walking on the moon's white, unmolded gums. I'll sit on the world and rotate with you till we roll into the morning.
You're a pestering parasite. If I had my way, you'd be got rid of. You're mad, you're violent. And I strongly resent finding you slightly pleasant.
God, yes, so do I.
As things turn out, I want to commit an offense.
Does something prevent you?
I don't know what offense to commit.
What abysmal poverty of mind.
This is a night of the most asphyxiating enjoyment that ever sapped my youth.
Oh, there you are. Whatever's wrong? You both go wandering off as though our guests could be gay of their own accord. They're very nervous and need considerable jollying. Goose liver, cold larks, cranberry tarts, and sucking pig, and now everyone looks as though they only wanted to eat each other. Which might, in the circumstances, be the best possible thing. Your uncle has sent me to find you. I can tell he's put out. He's as vexed as a hen's hind feathers in a wind. So, for that matter, am I. Come back inside and be jolly like anyone else's children.
Mother, I'd as soon kiss the bottom of a Barbary ape.
It's unfortunate, considering the wide choice of living matter on this globe, that I should have managed to be a mother. I can't imagine what I was thinking of. Your uncle has made me shake out the lavender from one of my first gowns, which has hung in the wardrobe 24 unencouraging years, to lend to this Jennett girl, who, in my opinion, shouldn't be here. And I said to her flatly, the course of events is incredible. Make free with my jewel box. Where is she now?
No doubt still making free. Off she has gone. Away to the melting moody horizons of opal, moonstone, bloodstone. Now moving in lazy amber. Now sheltering in the shade of jade from a brief rainfall of diamonds. Able to think tomorrow has an even brighter air. A glitter less moderate, a quite unparalleled freedom in the fire. A death. No bounds to it. Where is she now? She's dressing, I imagine.
Yes, I suppose so. I don't like to think of her. And as for you, I would like to think of you as someone I knew many years ago, and alas, wouldn't see again. That would be charming. I beg you to come, Humphrey. Give your brother a good example.
Mother, I'm unwell.
Oh, Humphrey.
Mother, he is officially sick and actually bored. The two together are as bad as a dropsy.
I must keep my mind as concentrated as possible on such pleasant things as the summer I spent at Stoke Davenant. Your uncle must do what he will. I've done what I can.
Our mother isn't pleased.
She's never learned to yawn. And so she hasn't the smallest comprehension of those who can.
Benighted brothers in boredom, let us unite ourselves in a toast of ennui. I give you a yawn to this evening, especially remembering Mrs. Cartwright. To mortal life, women, all government, wars, art, science, ambitions, and the entire fallacy of human emotions.
And wake us in the morning with an ambrosial breakfast. Amen, amen.
Humphrey, Poppin, draw back the curtains. I have the sense of daylight.
It seems we're facing east.
You've come too late. Romulus, Remus, and I have just buried the world under a heavy snowfall of disinterest. There's nothing left to life but cranberry tarts, goose's liver, sucking pig, cold larks, and Mrs. Cartwright.
That's Richie's running mad. What about the have-not moon? Not a goose, not a pig. Yet she manages to be the wit of heaven and rouse the envious Queen of Sheba to wash in mercury so that the Sheban fountain should splash deliriously in the light of her breasts. But she died, poor queen, shining less than the milk of her 1,000 short-horned cows.
What's this? Where's the girl I spoke to this evening gone with her essential fact? Surely she knows if she is true to herself. The moon is nothing but a circumambulating aphrodisiac, divinely subsidized to provoke the world into a rising birth rate. A veneer of sheerest Venus on the flanks of time, which may fool the ocean, but which fools not me.
So, no moon.
No moon.
We'll let her at the last quarter.
No, if he says no moon, then of course there can be no moon. Otherwise, we destroy his system of thought and confuse the quest for truth.
You see, Nicholas?
I have only one small silver night to spend. So show me no luxuries. It will be enough if you spare me a spider. And when it spins, I'll see the 6 days of creation in its web. And a fly caught on the 7th. And if the dew should rise in the web, I may well die a Christian.
I must shorten my sail. We're into a strange wind. This evening you insisted on what you see, what you touch, what you know. Where did this weather blow from?
Off the moors of mortality. That might be so. Or there's that inland sea, the heart. But you mustn't hinder me. Not now. I come of a long-lived family, and I have some 60 years to use up almost immediately. I shall join the sucking pig.
Please, take my arm. I'll guide you there.
You'll do nothing of the kind. Who's the host here?
They have impeccable manners when they reach a certain temperature.
One more word from you, you go out of the house.
Like a heart going out of me, by which it avoids having to break.
What I hear from your mother is not agreeable to me in the smallest.
Uncle, I came to cool my brow. I was on my way back.
Well, don't keep us talking. I need to plunge again into that ice cap of pleasure in the next room. I repeat, my arm.
I repeat, I am the host. I have the right.
He has the right, Nicholas. Let me commit no solecism so near to eternity. We must go in as smoothly as old friends.
Does your blood run deep enough to run cold? Or have you none?
That's enough. Get out.
Are you going to cry out the burning?
Worthless creatures, both. I call you clutter. The standard soul must mercilessly be maintained. No two ways of life. One God, one point of view. A general acquiescence to the mean.
God knows, when you say the mean, you mean the mean.
And so you'll kill her?
I would have done it for her too, of course. But more cautiously and with a pretense of charm. Am I allowed on bail into your garden?
I haven't any wish to see you, not in the smallest degree. Go where you like.
That's nowhere in this world. But still, maybe I can make myself useful and catch mice for an hour.
The young lunatic slipping off his heap, cheered up and gone, so much the less trouble for us. Very jolly evening, Tyson. Are you sober?
Yes.
You shouldn't say that, you know. You're in tears, Tyson. I know tears when I see them. My wife has them. You've drunk too deep, my boy. Now, I'm sober as a judge. Perhaps a judge a little on circuit, but still sober.
I won't stand it, Tabacum. I won't have it. I won't have evil things looking so distinguished. I'm no longer young, and I should be given protection.
What do you want protecting from now?
We must burn her before she destroys our reason. Damnable glitter. Tabacum, we mustn't become bewildered at our time of life. It's too unusual not to be corrupt. Must be burned immediately. Tabacum, immediately.
Are you trying to get rid of temptation, Tyson? A belated visit of the wanton flesh after all these years? You've got to be dispassionate, calm, and civilized. I'm civilized. I know, for instance, that beauty is not an absolute. Beauty is a condition. As you might say, hey, nonny, no, or hey, nonny, yes. But the law's about as absolute... Hello. Feeling dicky, Chaplain?
It would be so kind if you didn't notice me. I have upset myself. I have no right to exist, not in any form, I think.
Well, I hope you won't think me unsociable if I don't cry myself. Now, what's the matter? Here's the pair of you dripping like newly weighed anchors. Let the butterflies come to you, Chaplain, or you'll never be pollinated into a bishop.
No, it's right and it's just. I should be cast down. I've treated her with an abomination that maketh desolate. The words are from Daniel.
Hey, what's this, the young woman again?
My patient instrument. I made my viol commit such sins of sound, and I didn't mind. No, I laughed. I was trying to play a dance I'm too unaccomplished to play with any jollity. I shouldn't venture beyond religious pieces.
There's no question of jollity. We've got to burn her for our peace of mind.
You must wait until tomorrow like a reasonable chap. And tomorrow, remember, you'll have her property instead of your present longing for impropriety. And her house, now I come to think of it, will suit me nicely. A large mug of small beer for both of you. Come, leave it to me.
No, I shall become delighted again. I wish for repentance.
Oh, you shall have it. I'll pour it out myself. You'll see it shall bring you to your knees.
I'm too unaccomplished. I haven't the talent. But I hoped I should see them dancing. And, after all, they didn't dance.
They shall, dear saint, they shall.
I was to tell you, Mr.
I'm not to
Tyson.
be found. I'm fully occupied elsewhere. If you wish to find me, I shall be in my study. You can knock, but I shall give you no reply. I wish to be alone with my own convictions. Good night.
The Great Bear is looking so geometrical. One would think something or other could be proved. Are you sad, Richard?
Certainly.
I also. I've been cast adrift on a raft of melancholy. The night wind passed me like a sail across a blind man. There it is. The interminable tumbling of the great grey mane of moonlight, washing over the little oyster shell of this month of April. The nights are pale, cast your land of peace, and something condones the world incorrigibly. But what in fact is this vaporous charm? We're softened by a nice conglomeration of the Earth's uneven surface, refraction of light, obstruction of light, condensation, distance. And that sappy upshot of self-centered vegetabilism, the trees of the garden. Houses. We come to see this as a heaven in the eye. Why should we hawk and spit out ecstasy as though we were nightingales and call these quite casual degrees and differences beauty? What guile recommends the world and gives our eyes the special sense to be deluded above all animals? Stone Richard. I've begun to talk like that soulless girl, and she may at this moment be talking like me.
To hear her, you would think her feet had almost left the ground. The evening, which began so blackly, now, as though it were a kettle set over her flame, has started to sing. And all the time, I find myself praying under my breath that something will save her.
My goodness. Tide's turned on a similar sort of whisper.
Richard,
Allison,
I've come to be with you.
not with me. I'm the to and fro fellow tonight. You have to be with Humphrey.
I think I've never met Humphrey. I've met him less and less the more I've seen him.
Will you forgive me? I was mounting for a small Dutch owl. If it is said to woo twice, it is said it 1,000 times.
Hey, Thomas! Oh, well? The crickets are singing well with their legs tonight.
It sounds as though the night air is riding on a creaking saddle.
You must go back to the others.
Oh, let me stay. I'm not able to love them. Have you forgotten what they mean to do tomorrow?
How can I forget? But there are laws, and if someone fails,
I
then...
shall run away from laws if laws can't live in a heart. I shall be gone tomorrow.
You make the room suddenly cold. Where will you go?
Where will you come to find me?
Look, you've pulled a thread in your sleeve. Is it honest for me to believe you would be unhappy
When?
if you marry Humphrey?
Oh, Humphrey's a winter in my head. But whenever my thoughts run cold, and I lay them against Richard's name, they seemed to rest on the warm ground. So I did very little but think of you until I ran out of the room.
Do you come to me because you can never love the others?
Our Father God moved many lives to show you to me. Oh, I think that is the way it must have happened. It was complicated, but very kind.
If I asked you if you could ever love me, I should know for certain that I was no longer rational.
I love you quite as much as I love St. Anthony, and rather more than I love St. John Chrysostom.
But putting halos on one side, as a man, could you love me, Allison?
I've become a woman, Richard, because I love you. Oh, I know I was a child 3 hours ago, and yet I love you as deeply as many years can make me, but less deeply than many years will make me.
I think I may never speak steadily again. What have I done or said to make it possible that you should love me?
Everything I loved before has come together in one meeting place in you. And you've gone out into everything I love.
What do we do?
We cleave to each other, Richard. That is what is proper for us to do.
But you were promised to Humphrey, Allison. And I'm hardly more than a servant here, tied to my own apron strings. They'll never let us love each other.
Then they will have to outwit all that ever went to create us.
So they will. I believe it. Let them storm! We're lovers in a deep and safe place, and never lonely anymore. Allison, shall we make the future, however much it roars, lie down with our happiness?
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready to forgo custom and escape with me?
Shall we go now before anyone prevents us?
I'll take you to the old priest who first found me. He's as near to being my father as putting his hand into a poor box could make him. He'll help us.
The Ladies Not for Burning, starring Richard Chamberlain, will continue.
There's a dynamic new shape on the American road.
Are you tired of us?
Stop following her. Stop following me.
I'm troubled to find Thomas Mendel.
He's far gone. As mad as the nature of man.
As rude and crude as an act of God. He'll burn your house.
So he has. Are you kind to mention burning?
I beg your pardon.
Couldn't you? Tomorrow, by some elementary spell, reverse the direction of the flames, make them burn downward? It would save you unpleasantness, and increase at the same time the heat below, which would please equally both heaven and hell. I feel such a tenderness for you. Not only because I think you bewitched my brother, which would be a most salutary thing, but because, even more than other women, you carry a sense of that cavernous night folded in night, where creation sleeps and dreams of men.
Get out.
He does no harm. Is it possible he might still make for death even on this open-hearted night?
Who might?
Thomas Mendel.
Damn Thomas Mendel.
Nothing easier. Ah, Richard, you're just the fellow. We need some more canary. Say 5 bottles more. And before we go in, we'll drink here, privately, to beauty, and the somber, sultry waters where beauty haunts.
I have to find...
5 bottles of canary. I'll come to the cellars and help you bring them. Quick, before our mother calls us back to evaporate into duty.
He's right. You have bewitched me, but not by brews and incantations. For all I know, you may have had some traffic with the devil, made some sinister agreement with him. To your soul's cost, if so you will agree, the fire is fair, as fair goes. You have to burn.
It's hard enough to live these last few hours as the earth deserves. Do you have to remind me how soon the night will leave me unprotected and at the daylight's mercy? I'm tired trying to drive those thoughts away.
Would need you. These few hours of the night might be lived in a way which wouldn't end in fire. It would be insufferable if you were burnt before I could know you. I should never sit at ease in my body again.
Must we talk of this? All that is to be said has been said, and all in a heavy sentence. There's nothing to add, except a grave silence.
Listen. Will you listen? There is more to say. I am able to save you. Since all official actions can be given official hesitations, I happen to be on the council. And a dozen reasons can be found to postpone the moment of execution.
Hope can break the heart, Humphrey. Hope can be too strong.
But this is true, actual, as my body is. And as for that, now impartially, look what I risk. If in fact you have done anything to undermine our fairly workable righteousness, and they say you have, then my status in both this town and the afterlife will be gone if either suspect me of having helped you. I have to be given considerable reason for risking that.
I fondly hope I'm beginning to misconstrue you.
Later on tonight, when they are all bedded down in their beauty sleep, I'll procure the key and come to your cell. Is that agreeable?
You mean you give me a choice? To sleep with you, or tomorrow to sleep with my fathers? And if I value the gift of life, as by heaven I do, I can scarcely refuse.
Isn't that sense?
Oh, admirable sense. Oh, why am I not sensible? Oddly enough, I hesitate. Surely I'm not mesmerized by some snake of chastity.
Janet, before they come and interrupt us.
I'm interested in my feelings. I seem to wish to have some importance in the play of time. And what is deep? As love is deep, I'll have deeply. What is good? As love is good, I'll have well. Then if time and space have any purpose, I shall belong to it. And so you see, it might be better to die. Though on the other hand, I admit it might be immensely foolish. Listen, what can all that thundering in the cellars be?
I don't know at all. You're simply playing for time. Why can't you answer me? Before I'm thrown by the bucking of my pulse, before Nicholas comes and interrupts us, will it be all right?
Doesn't my plight seem pitiable to you?
Pitiable? Yes. It makes me long for you intolerably. Now be a saint and tell me I may come to your cell.
Oh, I wish I could believe my freedom didn't lie in the flames. Oh, God, I wish the ground would open.
Allow me to open it for you. Admit I was right. Man's a mistake. Lugworms, the lot of us.
Wipe your filthy boots before you start trespassing.
And as for you, I'll make you the climax to my murders. You can die a martyr to the cause of bureaucratic pollution.
Oh, if he wants to fight me, let him. Come out into the garden. If he kills me, remember, I thought you unfairly beautiful. And to balance your sins, you should be encouraged to spend your beauty in a proper way on someone who knows its worth.
Sound the trumpets!
Oh, dear, is this Lugworms at war? And by what right, may I ask, do you come moralizing and dictating what I should do?
Woman, what are you saying? Are you trying to tell me you'd even consider?
I might prefer the dragon to St. George. You, if you remember, failed even to give me a choice. You've only said die, woman, and look as though you liked it. So you can see this can hardly be said to concern you.
All right. You've done your worst. You forced me to tell you the disastrous truth. I love you. A misadventure so intolerable hell could not do more. Nothing in the world could touch me, and you have to come and be the damnable exception. Don't say again that this doesn't concern me, or I shall say that you needn't concern yourself with tomorrow's burning.
You know what that little bastard Richard did? He locked me in the cellars. Yeah, I went into the terrace to get the wine. The door swung after me. That little son of a crossbow turned the key. Well, there I was, cobwebs up to my armpits, hammering on the door and yelling like a slaughterhouse until the cook came and let me out. Where is he?
Can we find somewhere to talk where there isn't quite so much insect life?
What should we talk of? You mean to be hanged? Am I to understand that your tongue-tied dust will slip a ring on the finger of my ashes and we'll both die happily ever after? Surely Humphrey's suggestion, though more conventional, has fewer flaws.
But you said like a ray of truth itself, you'd rather burn.
My heart, my mind would rather burn, but may not the casting vote be with my body? Is the body necessarily always ill-advised?
Something has happened since I made my descent into those hellish cobwebs. I'm adrift. What is it?
You've destroyed my defenses. The laborious contrivance of ours, the precious pair of you. Oh, Janet, Janet. You should have let me go before I confessed a word of this damned word, love. I'll not reconcile myself to a dark world for the sake of 5 feet 6 of wavering light. For the sake of a girl who goes no higher than my bottom lip.
I'll strip and fly my shirt at the masthead unless somebody picks me up. What's been going on?
Ask that neighing horsebox kicker there, your matchless brother.
Oh, Humphrey, darling. Have there been some official natural instincts?
Oh, I've had enough. The whole thing's become unrecognizable.
Have I too uncertain virtue to keep you on the earth?
Ask nothing. Nothing. Stop barracking my heart. Save yourself his way if you must. There will always be your moment of hesitation, which I shall chalk all over the walls of purgatory. Never mind that loving you, I've trodden the garden threadbare, completing a way to save you.
If you saved me without wishing to save yourself, you might have saved your trouble.
Oh.
I imagine it's all over with us, Humphrey. I shall go, lie with my own thoughts, conceive reciprocity. Come on, you boy of gloom. It's the high seas for us.
Oh, go drown yourself. Me with you.
Anyone seen that poor child, Alison? I think she must be lost.
Who isn't? The most that we can do is to make whatever we're lost in look as much like home as we can. Now, don't worry, Mother. She can't be more lost than she was with us.
Mother, I can't marry her. Can't you think of something else to do with her? I'm going to bed.
Humphrey has been improperly making a proper suggestion. He wishes to be drowned.
Find it impossible to concentrate. Have you seen the little fair-haired girl?
He wishes to be hanged.
Have you hidden the child?
She wishes to be burned, rather than sleep with my brother.
She should be thankful she can sleep at all. For years, I've woken every quarter of an hour. I must sit down. I'm too tired to know what anyone's saying. I think none of us knows where to look for Alison. Or for anything else. But shall we, while we wait news of her, as two dispirited women, ask this man to admit he did no murders?
You think not?
I know. There was a soldier, discharged and senseless, with a towering pride in his sensibility and an endearing disposition to be a hero, who wanted to make an example of himself to all erring mankind. And falling in with a witch hunt, his good heart took the opportunity to provide a diversion. Oh, Thomas, it was very theatrical of you to choose the gallows.
Mother, we won't listen to this girl. She's jealous because of my intimate relations with Damnation. Damnation knows I love her.
The Lady's Not for Burning, starring Richard Chamberlain, will continue.
Just a little north of Variety and fresh.
We have come back. I want to talk with you. Who locked me in the cellars?
Alison, where have you been?
We had to come back.
Back from where?
We came across old Skips.
We were running away. We wanted to be happy.
Skips?
The body of old Skips. We better find Tapaku.
What do you mean, running away?
He is rather drunk. He had been to see his daughter.
What's all this I'm told? I was hoping to hang on my bough for the rest of the evening, ripe and undisturbed. Now, what is it? Murder? Not such a fabrication after all?
We had to come back, you see, because now no one will be able to burn her.
Nobody now will be able to say she turned him into a dog. He's out here near the gate. I'll fetch him.
Who will trouble to hang you now?
He couldn't lie quiet among so many bones. He had to come back to fetch his barrow.
Come along, Mr. Skips.
It looks uncommonly to me as if someone has been tampering with the evidence. Where's Tyson? I'm too amiable tonight to controvert any course of events whatsoever.
The young gentleman says come in, so I comes in. He only has to say muck off, and I goes, without argument.
Are you the rag and bone merchant of the town, name of Matthew Skips?
Oh, give me that knife. Me grandfathers and grandmothers and all authority under him. Baptized I dreamin' was, and I says to yous, baptized I am, and I says to yous, baptized I will be, without a weeping and washing of teeth, immersion upon us miserable offenders. Miserable offenders all. There's no offense meant. And if one of yours is not a miserable offender as he's told to be by Almighty and merciful God, then I says to him, hands off me daughter, you bloody-minded heathen.
All right, all right.
I'm not quarreling, mind. I'm not quarreling. Peace on earth and good tall women. And give us our trespassers as trespassers will be prosecuted for us. I ain't perfect, mind. I'm as good a miserable offender as any man here present, ladies accepted.
Here now, Matt, aren't you forgetting yourself? You're dead. You've been dead for hours.
Dead, am I? I has the respect to ask you to give me cooperation of that. I says muck and lie to nobody, but I seen my daughter 3 hours back, and she just said to me, fair and to me face, God, you're dead. She don't stand for no nonsense.
Hey, now, Skips, the whole town knows it, old man. You've been dead since this morning.
Dead? Now, you take my breath away. Do I begin to stink then?
You do.
Ooh. Fair enough. That's collaboration. I'm in the presence of the blessed saints.
He floats in the heaven of the grape. Someone take him home to his hovel.
Hallelujah! Hallelujah! Hallelujah!
Now stop that, Skips. Keep your hosannas for the cold light of morning, or we shall lock you up.
Hallelujah!
Richard will take the old man home. Richard? Where's Richard? Where's Alison? Are they gone again?
That's right, Mother. Humphrey's future wife. Blown clean away.
Yes, that's all very well, but she mustn't think she can let herself be blown away whenever she likes.
What better time than when she likes?
As it was in the beginning, ever and ever, amen. Hallelujah.
Take the old man away. Well, now that you've made him think he's dead, we shall never have any peace.
Oh, shall we when he's gone? Come on, Matthew. We're going to teach you how to fly.
I have the respect to ask to sit down. You blessed saints don't realize it takes it out of you, this life everlasting.
Come on, Skips. Your second wind can blow when no one listens.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
That's more pleasant. What was the thread now the rascal broke? Do I have to collect my thoughts any further?
Yes, or I must. That poor child, Alison, is too young to go throwing herself under the wheels of happiness. She should have wrapped up warmly first. Harold must know in any case. I'll go tell him, though he's locked himself in his study and only blows his nose when I knock.
Yes, get him onto a horse. It will do him good.
Hebel on a horse is a man delivered neck and crop to the will of God. But he'll have to do it.
Yes, he'll have to do it. He's a dear little man. What's to be the end of you? I take it the male prisoner is sufficiently deflated not to plague us with his person any longer.
Deflated? I'm overblown with the knowledge of my villainy.
Your guilt, my boy, is a confounded bore.
Then let it bore me to extinction.
The woman prisoner may notice, without my mentioning it, that there's a certain mildness in the night, a kind of somnolent inattention. If she wishes to return to her cell, no one can object. On the other hand, how very empty the streets must be just now. You forgive a yawn in a very much overworked and elderly man. The moon is full, of course. To leave the town unobserved, one would have to use caution. As for me, I shall go and be a burden to my bed. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. So much for me.
Thomas. Only another 50 years or so, and then I promise to let you go.
Do you see those roofs and spires? There sleep hypocrisy, focus, pomposity, greed, lust, vulgarity, cruelty, trickery, sham, and all possible nitwittery. Are you suggesting 50 years of that?
I was only suggesting 50 years of me.
Girl, you haven't changed the world. Glimmer as you will, the world's not changed. I love you, but the world's not changed. Perhaps I could draw you up over my eyes for a time, but the world sickens me still.
And you think your gesture of death is going to change it? Except for me.
Oh, the unholy man-trap of love.
I've put on my own gown again. But otherwise, everything that is familiar, my house, my poodle, my peacock, my possessions, I have to leave. The world is looking frozen and forbidding under the moon. But I must be out of this town before daylight. And somewhere, who knows where, begin again.
Brilliant. So you fall back on the darkness to defeat me. You gamble on the possibility that I was well brought up. And of course you're right. I have to see you home. Though neither of us knows where on earth it is.
Thomas, do you mean to let the world go on?
I know my limitations. When the landscape goes to seed, the wind is obsessed by tomorrow.
I shall have to hurry. I can hear the pickaxe voice of a cock beginning to break up the night. Am I an inconvenience to you?
As inevitable as original sin. And I shall be loath to forgo one day of you, even for the sake of my ultimate, friendly death.
I'm friendly, too.
Then let me wish us both